Hello, dwarfs! This is Jared Duty Summons, and today this is my next episode in How to Play Dwarf Fortress. And in this episode or video, I will be covering how to create a new world, and that's it's enough. I think it's enough of a concept to warrant a whole video because it might take a little while to explain some of what we're doing on here. Alright, so like in the other video, I'm assuming that we're using the lazy Noob Pack with the some of the default settings, and let me show you some of the settings I use with the with the lazy Noob Pack for this tutorial. So everything turned on except for, let's see here, I set the population cap to 100, just so we don't have to deal with insane numbers of dwarves. Child cap, we'll leave it at where it is right now. You might want to lower it. If you find that you have too many kids in your fortress, lowering this can help. Aquifer, for now, I'm going to turn that off. Aquifers are rather difficult to deal with. So if this is your first fortress, you probably want to leave that off. And yeah, so that's about it from there. Then you just hit Play Dwarf Fortress down there. It'll then go through the intro video, which we have already seen in the introduction, and you'll come to this screen. And so, since we don't have any worlds built yet, we're going to create a new world. I'll take a moment. Long time between releases, instability. And this is a bit of a plug for the fan-created Dwarf Fortress wiki. I will put a link to that in the description bar. It is an excellent resource, and since there's 1,000,001 things in Dwarf Fortress, the wiki is a very good place just to randomly look things up as they appear. Alright, so this is the Create a World screen. So the first tab here is the world size. For what we're doing, I would suggest just a medium world just to start with. The history, we'll leave that as a medium. And so during the Dwarf Fortress's world generation, it actually spends some time playing through the world to generate a history for it. And so a medium world, we'll leave it a medium world. A short history, you'll end up with a lot more forgotten beasts and a lot more civilizations, and you know, I usually just play on medium because it doesn't affect things that I want to be affected. Number of civilizations, we'll just leave that on medium as well. We don't need to mess with that. This would affect how many dwarf civilizations, how many elves, how many humans, how many everything else. Number of sites, leave that on medium as well. Sites would be things like cities, and for the most part, it's not going to affect us too much unless you put it on really high. You don't want it on really high because it starts taking up spot and resources. Number of beasts, we'll leave that on low for now. Natural savagery, because this is a beginning world, we'll leave it on low. And mineral occurrence, we'll put that on frequent. This determines how many resources will likely be on your map. And so everywhere might be a little too much. I'm thinking frequent would probably be good. If later on you want to get more of a challenge, sparse or rare would be good. Very rare, and makes it very difficult. This actually does affect other civilizations, so it will impact what the trading caravans will be bringing to you. And so keeping this on, so sparse, so even very rare means you're not going to get anything. You're going to get very little on trading caravans. Anyway, we'll set it to frequent, and then Y to start generating the world. And so here we go. It's building the map, and it's placing the beasts, and now it's running through the history. Yep, it's going through randomly generated events, randomly generated people, and historical figures. Some of this will come up when you start doing epic level crafting, and some of the really nice what am I thinking of here? You can carve you can order your dwarves to improve stone walls and the floors and whatnot. And sometimes those scenes that are depicted will be events that happened in history that it's generating right now. Looks like it's about a third done. This takes a little while, but I think it's worth it. It makes for a really interesting world. The faster your computer is, the faster this will go. So if you have a really old computer, you may have to just sit back and let it, go have a beer or something. Which I am looking around, and I am out of beer. A dwarf is never happy when they runs out of beer. There is a more advanced version of the world generator. It has options to control pretty much everything in the world generation. You can control specifically how many volcanoes are generated, or well, not specifically how many, but you can influence how many volcanoes, the prevalence of water, different resources, the number of forgotten beasts that are created on the beginning of the world. You could even create it so certain civilizations are destroyed or not. You can start getting really fancy, but for this tutorial we're going to stick with the basic world generator because it does create a pretty good world. Up top you can see where it says creating new regions, 8 rejected. As it's randomly created the worlds, there are certain things it tests for. For instance, if there's no oceans, it'll reject it, or there's a whole bunch of things that I don't know exactly what it rejects, but that's what it's doing, is it's making sure that the worlds are appropriate. I think we're almost finished. I think it stops on year 250 on the medium history length. There we go. Alright, and so at this point we get a little bit of chance to preview what the world looks like. That's a Dark Goblin Fortress. Alright, cool. If you hold down shift, you can jump with every button press. I'm just moving around the arrows. This area up here is going to be frozen tundra, or frozen wastelands. It's difficult to build a fortress in there, so we'll probably avoid that for now. The dunes, prairies, some evil lands. Oh, wait, no, that's good lands, maybe. I don't know. Well, anyway, this world looks good enough, I guess. We're not looking for anything too fancy. And so we'll hit enter to accept the world. There we go, offloading units. Saving information, etc., etc. And there we go. Our world is generated. So you'll see the menu options have changed. You can actually even make another world if you want to have more than one world going at once. But we're not going to do that right now. We're just going to do start playing. And here's the different modes. We're going to select Dwarf Fortress mode. So this is the mode where you're actually building fortresses and whatnot. Adventurer mode, you actually take on as a specific character, and then you can explore a world. You can even explore worlds that you have built fortresses in. You can actually explore them as a character rather than as someone running the fortress. So there we go. Let's go into Dwarf Fortress mode. Come on. All right, so this is the screen. Let me see if I can zoom in here. So what I'm doing is I'm just scrolling down on my mouse to zoom that in. All right, and so right now I'm just using my arrow keys. What we want to do is find an area to build our fortress. Wow, that's not good. So we're way far north. I want to get more towards the middle of the map. So the left-hand side is the really local area, is the very specific tile you're looking at. The middle is a wider area around the local area, and the world is going to be the biggest, most zoomed out portion. I think it's the whole world. Let's see here. Because we're dwarves, let's see. Oh, and the far right tells you a bit about the local area you're looking at. We want some soil. Clay is nice. And we want shallow metals, plural. And perhaps fluxstone, if we can find some. Fluxstone will allow you to make steel, if you get to that point. And that doesn't necessarily tell you... That survey information doesn't tell you about all of it only tells you maybe about the top 30 levels or so, as far as I know. Let's see. Clay is handy because you can make pottery and whatnot. All right, so this is a decent spot. So I'm going to use the UMKH to move around the local selection here and see if I can find a good area. These blue lines are rivers, and so having a river or stream in your map is very handy. Let's see here. Alright, so temperature's warm. That means we're not going to get a freezer in the winter. Trees heavily forested. Trees are very useful. Wood is going to be very handy, so that's good to have. Other vegetation thick. That's nice, I guess. Surroundings, untamed wilds. That gets a little bit dangerous. That means some of the creatures are going to be a bit dangerous. That's okay. I think we can handle that. If not, then this will be a really short video. And it's a stream. Okay. And so I'm going to hit tab, and that'll switch the modes of display. And so those are our neighbors. We have goblins. And the red line means they don't like us, which is fine. Goblins never do. Alright. So those are the different dwarven civilizations nearby. And this is the relative evolution. Something like that. This tells us how hilly that particular area is going to be. And so flatter is nice. Let's take a look a little closer on that. This is the cliff indicator. X. But that's okay. We can deal with a little bit of cliffs, so that's fine. Those are medium cliffs. I'd prefer a flatter area, but that's okay. So there we go. You can hit F1, F2 to switch between the different biomes that we're looking at here, but it looks like they're the same. Alright, I think we're going to take this one here. So you hit E for Embark once you've found a proper location. Oh, if you want to make the area a little bigger, you can hold down Shift and use U, H, K, and M to change the Embark size. So you can even make it really big, but we definitely don't want to get that big. Probably keep it either default. I'll probably keep it default for now. And then E for Embark. You have selected a large area. Choose a smaller area if you experience lags. If I experienced lags, that's right. Alright. Let's see here. Okay. It has different options here. The pre-built, since we're using the Lazy Noob Pack, it includes these 4 different pre-selected packs. And out of these, I really like the Mayday Custom. It has a couple of miners, a woodcutter. Woodcutter / carpenter, a mason, craft dwarf, a fisherman, farmer, and a cook. Those are really handy stuff. Otherwise, you can do what's called prepare for the journey carefully, which allows you to select everything manually as far as equipment and the dwarf skills. Just to get started quickly, I'm going to use the Mayday Custom. And there we go. You can preview the skills, which we'll do just to take a look here. And so this is my miner, so all of the skills here. So you can, if you wanted to change that, you can, you can do minus to get rid of some of the skill, or plus to give it some skill. Minimum is 5, maximum is 10. So let's look at each one here. So this guy's my miner, but he has a little bit of weaponsmith skill, a little bit of armorsmith skill, which is handy. The main skills you'll need getting started is going to be essentially the ones that are listed for the Lizzie Noob Pack, that first one we have here. Let me get back to the top. There we go. Having 2 miners is very handy because you're gonna be doing a lot of mining to build your fortress. Wood cutting. Wood is very important for making beds and barrels early on. Some other stuff. It's a good, easy to gather resource. It's a little bit disadvantaged. It's a little bit difficult to have your carpenter also be your woodcutter because he can only do one of the 2 tasks at a time. But that's fine. We'll just have to be careful how we assign wood cutting. Let's see here. This is our mason. He also does our engraving and is our architect. And this guy is our stonecrafter. I don't really do much bone crafting, but it's handy if you get bones. What is this guy? Yeah, fisherman. Fisherman is very handy. It provides some early food, some early and steady food supply if you have water sources nearby. Grower. He's going to be your farmer and your cook and your butcher, I guess. Farming is a good way to get long-term food. And it's a really good way to get supplies to make booze. And booze is like water to dwarves. They have to have it to live. Well, not quite. They have to have it to be happy and live. Alright, so let's look at items here. So tab for the items. This is the basic items. You get a certain number of points to start with. In this one, they started with 2 copper picks, some wine, some ale, some beer, some rum, plum helmets, which are a type of mushroom, which is a good food for dwarves, a bit of cow meat, coke, which is it's like coal. So it's coal made from, so it's usable coal essentially. It's a more dense coal. And the copper battle axe, which will be used by your woodcutter to cut the wood, and in a pinch can be used for self-defense. So can the copper picks as well. So your cutter and your miners can be used as emergency military early on if you have to. And it looks like we got some dogs, some more dogs. That's fine. Some cats. Cats are handy. Having a couple of cats are handy because they will get rid of pests, vermin, and whatnot. And what else do we have here? Oops. Not much. All right, excellent. That's definitely enough to get started. So we'll go. We'll embark. And I hit E, and it is now thinking about embarking. You have arrived. After a journey from the mountain home into the forbidden wilderness beyond, your harsh trek has finally ended. Your party of 7 is to make an outpost for the glory of all Durbar Asol. There are almost no supplies left, but with stout labor comes sustenance. Whether by bolt, plow, or hook, provide for your dwarves. You're expecting a supply caravan just before winter entombs you. But it is spring now. Enough time to delve secure lodgings. Or the leopards get hungry. Oh, what? Okay, alright. There's leopards. Interesting. A new chapter of dwarven history begins here in this place. Fat hitteth. Okay, great. The city is called Fat Fitteth, and the fortress is called Sack System. Strike the earth! Alright. And we have started our fortress. We have started the map and created a new fortress. We have struck the earth. And this is what Dwarf Fortress looks like. Ta-da! Alright, that's it for this tutorial. I'm seeing it's getting about 20 minutes here. And I'm going to continue this on in the next episode of How to Play Dwarf Fortress.